Okay, so we're going to be talking about harnessing AI. I'd like to first introduce Stacy. Stacy leads our learning and development, and she's hands down the smartest person on the stage. So if you're going to listen to either of us, lower your expectations on me and raise your expectations for Stacy.
And I am going to introduce James Morse, who is the funniest person on stage.
I agree with that.
Yeah. And is the SVP of our product management team.
Okay, so let's dive into it. So we had 4 goals when we started this. Obviously, we're going to talk about AI. We're going to make this practical. I think we've all been in meetings within the last 6, 12, 18 months, whatever it is, where we have conversations about AI that simply are not tangible for us. There's a lot of the corporate down. Everyone's talking about this. It's hard to get away from it. Everyone's business is implementing it in some way, but is it tangible for teams? So we're going to make this practical, approachable, and really meaningful. But most important is, this is the spot right after lunch, and so we were told, talk about AI, but more than anything, try to keep everyone awake, which is the only reason I'm up here. So we're going to try to make this as funny and as engaging as possible. So as we think about AI and the strategy conversations that are happening, and again, they're happening at a very top level. When we talk to clients and prospects and all of these great brands, we hear that it's happening at this leadership level, but it's simply not trickling down. There's not that connection for us at a micro level to understand, what can I do with AI? What can my team do with AI? I know that we're doing something with AI, but what is that? And so as large organizations, these enterprise levels start to heavily invest in this, what we need to understand is, how do we take those initiatives and really decentralize them and allow us to experiment? And that's what we're going to talk a lot about today. Now, on top of this, we want to say AI is not just about automation. It certainly is about automation. We're not saying that it isn't. It is the button, it is the lever, but we want to think about this as, how do we help ourselves solve problems? How do we ideate as a group? And ultimately, how do we make work easier and more enjoyable, which shockingly is a role for learning and development. It's not just about making sure that we learn these things, but how do we make this the next step? So what we want to challenge you with at the very beginning is to not just think about AI as that automation, not just how do I push a button, how do I have it live within a platform or a product, but how do I use this in my everyday life to make myself more effective? Is that fair?
Yeah. Sounds great. Okay, let's do a quick poll. If you've used an AI tool in the past week, whether it's ChatGPT, an image generator, or just auto suggestions in your email, raise your hand. Okay. Now keep your hand up. Raise your hand if you feel totally confident explaining how AI works. Okay. Phew. Same. Just kidding, but only sort of. AI, I think, can seem really intimidating, and that's one of the reasons why we're talking about it today. Simply, AI systems just process vast amounts of data and evaluate it quickly, learning and changing quicker than a human can. A significant amount of us interact with AI regularly, as you just saw. Almost 30% of us report interactions several times a week day. And despite this frequent interaction, though, most of us don't even realize how much AI is included in the things we use all day long. It's not magic, and it's definitely not sentient yet. And as much as I like to believe that the emojis and the compliments it gives me make it real and it understands my communication style, it doesn't. But it is and can be like a superpowered intern. So one who can do repetitive tasks, analyze data, and even generate content. But it needs guidance and coaching, and very specific guidance and coaching. We've talked in several sessions that AI is not a job stealer. It's not going to take our roles. It doesn't replace people, but it does enhance what we do. AI is expected to create 97 million jobs worldwide in 2025, by the end of 2025. So even as it automates certain tasks, it's still growing the workforce and adding roles and jobs for all of us. It frees us up from the monotonous, mundane, arduous things that we have to do all day long, and gives us more time to do the things that we've been talking about today and we'll be talking about tomorrow: building strategy, being creative, all the things. So AI and humans are powerful together, right? I think Maria touched on this. They become a force multiplier. AI can handle the large amounts of automate understanding, lots of data. And humans bring the strategy, the empathy, the human expertise, and the context. I think of AI as a power tool. So a power saw that's not plugged in by itself is just sitting there. And a power saw with a beginner at its hands is dangerous and messy and probably will hurt themselves.
That's me.
But a skilled carpenter, not me, with a power saw can make something incredible. And that's what we're talking about here, is blending the two of them together. Next slide.
Okay, so today there's a ton of different types of AI. We consistently hear this. It feels like every new day there's another type. But we really want to focus on 3 specific ones. And we're going to really talk about the impacts on this when we think about channel marketing and the teams that we have back home. So collaborative AI, and really where we're moving into an agentic space. A lot of times you will think of this as more the automation, kind of where Stacey and I were talking about this, kind of the boring side. It shouldn't be perceived that way, but it sometimes is because these are chatbots, it's data entry, it's the scheduling piece, it's the types of tasks that help us but aren't getting us fully there. The predictive AI gets us into a lot of the fun stuff. It's the prediction element, it's the trending, it's the forecasting, it's the recommending that these things can do when you're feeding it a lot of data. And we'll talk a lot about that. The AI is only as good as the data that you feed it. So as long as you have the right data and you're really building upon that foundation, this can be really helpful in a predictive way. And then the third piece is that generative and reasoning. So think of this, again, to Stacey's point, as the creative and strategic part of AI. It is the fun part. It can be as simple as a competitive analysis. It can be content creation, which is most likely what all of us have used this in, but how do we take that and elevate it on steroids?
Making a country music song.
Making a country music song is a great example. And even problem solving. So as we think about the rest of this, we're really going to kind of center on these 3 types because strategically, this is what we're doing at Ensira. So I think the biggest challenge for us within our organizations is that we have these point solutions that are AI-based, and everyone's playing with them. So as we think about the corporate initiatives, our companies are saying, yes, we're AI forward. We want to talk about AI. But we're not giving you the guidance. So what are you doing? You're probably going out there and downloading the apps and playing around with them and trying to feel them out for yourselves. And while that's helpful, is it making a difference because you yourself are doing it without the larger organization or even your larger team? Or is it simply adding to the noise? As we go out and survey and we ask these team members how many apps you're using, it's growing by the day because the apps are growing by the day themselves. Jared with the country music piece. There's so many different options for you. But again, how do we harness that energy within our organization, within our teams, and make this more impactful? Because at the end of the day, there's this always running laundry list. My wife is a speech therapist. You'll hear me talk a lot about her because I love her so much. But my wife, when she leaves work, she leaves work. She doesn't have patients coming to our home, thank goodness. But she'll ask me sometimes, do you have more work to do? My response is, there's always work to be done. It's never going away to some extent. But with these AI tools, how do we harness this as an organization and help tackle these things that can make us more efficient and more effective and help to take that laundry list down? And back to Stacey's point, make work more enjoyable because of those monotonous tasks we don't have the time to do or we don't necessarily want to do because we want to focus on the more strategic and creative items.
Cool. Okay, so this past summer, I had a hodgepodge of summer camps planned for my daughter Lily, who's 7. But I had to find activities for her to do in between those camps. So I went to my AI intern and asked him to create me an activity plan for her, for a 7-year-old girl who can manage herself pretty independently, who loves Taylor Swift even more than I do, and sparkly unicorns, and art and making jewelry. And I asked my intern to create me a lesson plan for the weeks in between with guides, how-tos, and things that I would need. And I got a beautiful plan, right? And I think like Lily, so many of our learners and ourselves want training and lesson plans that are specific to the things we need, that we like, that we want to know about. And so using AI to do that cuts down significantly in design time and understanding what our learners need and want. So one of the biggest ways that my team has been using AI for upskilling at Ensira, and that we're talking about with so many of you all in the room, is adding a member our team, essentially, an AI intern, to the team to do some of those surveying, right? To understand what your learners need, how they want to learn, how we can best apply what they want to know and need to know to the content that we may already have, to the learning objectives that we're building, all of which cuts down significantly on that design time. We are, as much as it pains me to say this, one of our biggest challenges, I think, in the L&D world is creating engaging training that is not boring. And we've been using AI tools to do that. So from creating content videos with AI very quickly, from taking very long PowerPoints or documents and turning them into podcasts in a very engaging way that sort of surprise and, as I said earlier to someone, disguise training a little bit, right? You're still teaching them things, but it's in a very enjoyable format that may be shorter than reading 50 slides. These are all ways that you can use AI to upskill and increase learning for your teams. And then in addition, the part of learning that gets really sticky is not the training part, it's the practice and the feedback part. And so one of the areas that we've been exploring AI internally also is using it to role play. So our sales teams, some of our folks use it to practice scenarios. It can go back and forth with you if you give it a persona or character to play, an objection to use. And it will go back and forth with you and give you feedback. Some tools even will assess video for you. And PowerPoint in Microsoft even has a speech coach baked in that will give you immediate feedback on how you present.
I love this concept of the intern too, because there's so many times where we push training back onto the team member, and they need you as well. They need that type of feedback, and you simply don't have the time. So as we think about a lot of these things, and as we go through them, time is of the essence, and we can't get time back, and that's the real goal here, is how do we utilize these tools to give us time and to allow us to scale this out.
Yep. Yeah, and it takes that practice in that last scenario I was giving. It takes practice out of the classroom, out of the course, and makes it real time anytime that a learner needs it. So also, AI can create meaningful experiences, and I think it's often seen as an individual tool, me and my intern, or what have you, but maybe as a barrier to collaboration and team building or team group creativity. But AI can be a great tool for helping teams to brainstorm. How many times have we all sat in a meeting and are asked to brainstorm and you can't think of anything on the fly? How many times does a brainstorming event veer off to a place maybe that you didn't want it to go and you've got to corral it back or you lose it completely? AI can do the work up front to generate the ideas, and your team can then spend their time vetting the ideas, exploring them, and putting them into action plans. One of the things that I did for the holiday season for my team, I was looking for a sort of creative, thoughtful gift that would help me show them how much I care about them and what I notice about them and how our diverse skills as a team come together. And so I had one of the most engaging collaboration experiences I think I've ever had in a very long time with a
Stacey's
chatbot.
dating AI now.
Basically, true story. So anyways, we went back and forth on ideas for what to do for them, and it ended up giving me, within 30 minutes, a very thoughtful gift with a Taylor Swift quote, of course, attached to it.
Was it thoughtful?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, my team really liked it too. They did. I mean, they told me they did, so they must. But anyway, so a way to bring everybody together and showcase, their unique things that we love about them. One of the things we've been talking a lot about this last 2 days is personalizing learning and personalizing, reach outs to people. And AI can help us with that too. Understanding an audience, even if it's just a team meeting, and creating things like icebreakers, which I know we all love. But in a way that creates icebreakers that actually bring us together, that take sort of the awkwardness out of it, which I clearly need help with. All right, AI for efficiency. So how many of you have have realized like within a day in advance that you need to create a PowerPoint presentation or a deck for something and realize you don't even know where to start. AI can help there too. So again, baked into the tools that we already have access to or tools that exist out there, having AI take our ideas and put them into a story flow, have them bake out the idea even more and explore the idea, ask us questions to then create a better story is a great way to use it. Again, all speeds up that time of the things we have to deliver all day long. And then one of the things that really struck me in Maria's discussion also was competitive analysis. So using AI to understand your end buyer, to me just screamed the use for AI, right? So like doing your research and having it do it for you and corral all of the data that's out there so that then you can go in and look, who is that end buyer? What are they trying to accomplish? And then how do our partners meet that? And how do our marketing strategies meet that? And then lastly, AI for strategic planning. And admittedly, this is a place where has been a bigger jump for me to get on board. I'm very comfortable in the day-to-day tactics and tools that we're using. Many tools, which by the way, I'll just plug James's speech tomorrow. He's going to go through in detail.
It's today.
Oh, it's today. It's this afternoon.
Thank you. That's great.
So just stay tuned. Stay tuned. He'll give you a list. So again, I'm using those tools a lot all day long, and so I haven't thought of it as much at the strategic level. But where I have recently started to move to is thinking about it as a strategy building partner, having it ask me questions that I need to think about to build out L&D strategy for 2025. Having it understand or give me trends, learner trends, and predictive analysis of where learners are going to be has been really insightful.
So one of the biggest challenges we came up with when we were starting to build this out was, in any of these AI conversations, it's a lot. It's a lot to digest. There's so much opportunity there. And so how do we tackle this one by one? And where we both landed was, we can't be intimidated by AI, and we need to start small and experiment. And I love the way that Stacy's built this out, is that you can see those use cases with Lily, and then how it evolved with the team, and then now how she's, outside of her relationship with AI, is starting to use it for strategic planning. Like, all of these things are very insightful. So what we want to ask is, don't be intimidated by this. That's the easiest way to get left behind on technology, like, no question. And there's safe ways to deploy this without going too big. Again, we see this so much at a corporate level, but we really want this to be a micro level adjustment for you all. So feel free to experiment, feel free to start small.
Mm-hmm. So that's how we've approached it at Ansira, sort of thoughtfully, strategically, testing, trying, seeing what's working. We've actually rolled out a workforce assessment to all of our employees to understand what their comfort level is, what their knowledge level is, and sort of where their gaps might be, and to identify opportunities across the team to use AI to better help them. We've also implemented AI-first thinking training and an AI community of practice.
So thinking outside of just how we deploy this internally as an organization, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk more a little bit about the platform itself, because it's helpful we think of the platform for both you and your teams as well as the channel. So thinking about going back to the collaborative and agentic style of how do we deploy this through things like compliance monitoring, taking a very heavily used person element into this, and how do we use AI to eliminate some of that time and make it more efficient for both you and your users. Content approvals is a big one that we consistently hear, is that it's arduous at times. We have to look through the guidelines. We need to know things. How do we deploy AI to do that? And then even the types of funding requests. So Desiree hit on this morning, but one of the biggest challenges we consistently hear from partners is just that delay. They've spent the money themselves. They're looking to get reimbursed. It's timely. It de-incentivizes them to use your program. So how do we expedite that process? On the predictive side, we're investing heavily for assets and content recommendation, understanding the user persona who's there. how they're similar. So if James likes Taylor Swift and Stacy likes Taylor Swift, maybe there's other content that James should like that Stacy's using. How do we elaborate on that? Even budget and fund recommendations. There's so many times where we deploy these funds at a partner and channel level just to find that they're used at the wrong time of the year, they're used on the wrong campaigns, they're used on the wrong content half the time. So how do we be better about those recommendations and understanding when those should be done and when those shifts in the marketplace are so that we can invest at the right time? And then even those packages. So as we start to package up our types of programs, the content, the do-it-for-me programs, et cetera, how do we make sure that we're giving the right recommendations based off of what they've done before, how much money they've spent, how much money they may even have, all of these different data points that we have that we're trying to comb through, how do we use AI from a platform standpoint to really deploy that? And then finally, on the generative reasoning side, this is the fun side again, and this is where the channel sees the most impact heavily, but thinking of different types of long-form content that's tough to templatize today. I was talking to Erie earlier, and we were talking about different types of short-form video, and blog posts were the examples, but how do we take those and make them unique where they're difficult to templatize, but still allow them to be grounded within your content and your brand guidelines? Images, of course, social media, and even media optimization as we think about these campaigns that are live. How do we use generative and reasoning and predictive models all together to make sure that those campaigns are working more efficiently and effectively, not just for you, but also your users?